Now, I'll be the first to admit that Nomad has been out for a little while now. I've been a little bit slow on the uptake with this, and the reasoning behind it is I really wanted to figure out where exactly she fits in. After playing her initially, I was so excited to get my hands on this operator, and utilising her in the TTS, she was pretty powerful. I mean, I was planning on maining her because I saw how strong she was, certainly at pushing into the site, but since the adjustment to her air jabs, instead of them going off straight away, kind of like Zoffia's concussion grenades, and adjusting it to 1.5 seconds so there is that minor delay, she sort of fell off of my radar. I wasn't too interested after that because she becomes less about aggression and entry fragging and instead takes more of a backseat role as a support operator, and quite rightly so. I think, you know, in the grand scheme of things, this is a better place for her. But when I first started playing her after this adjustment, I really struggled to see where she fits in the grand scheme of things. You know, would you take her over some of the other operators? In most situations, probably not. Now, is that a bad thing? No, of course it's not. You know, with so many operators coming out, each one needs a specific role, and it's through these roles that they become viable on some bomb sites and not on others, which I really like about the game. You know, you shouldn't have an operator that you can just take on every single site every single time, which, as much as I don't mind Ash, I understand the logic behind her. I do understand where people are coming from when they're saying she's just, you know, no brain, you just go running in. So I can understand that side of the argument. Now, the good thing about Nomad is her weapons. For a start, the ARX is awesome. Really, really nice weapon. It's got a low mag count, not that many rounds in it. It's very similar to it's almost like a cross between Thermite and Hibana's weapons. It's hard hitting, it's not got a very high rate of fire, so it's kind of like Thermite's, but the very low mag count is more similar to Hibana's. Nevertheless, both that and her AK with, I think it's got a 40 round capacity compared to the 20 of the ARX, both are extremely viable, so, you know, take your pick on those. If you're better at nailing those headshots, then I would probably advocate taking the AK. It does allow you to pre-fire a little bit more and still have rounds in the mag, but at the same time, I've personally been running the ARX more so. Anyway, as far as today's video goes, we're going to be breaking down 5 of my top tips for how to play Nomad. Number 1 is going to be that Nomad is the ultimate claymore. She really is. I mean, you can take an operator like Zophia with a little bit of extra utility, and you can claymore off one area, but Nomad's air jabs means she is completely viable in certain areas of the map that realistically you wouldn't want to go to on your own. A good example of this would be just outside of the Geisha window up on Skyscraper. If you're up on this corner, there are a lot of places you could be run out from, and if you're there completely on your own, you know, let's just assume that the majority of the friendly team are dead. By deploying her air jabs on the common runouts, you don't really need to watch your back until you hear that sound go off. You also don't have to go up to the window to put these down, you can launch them from a ridiculous distance, so it does make her really viable. The one thing about this though is you do need to stay reasonably close to it in order to act upon it. Yes, you can get intel that someone has just jumped out somewhere, but you can't really act upon that unless you are close enough, like within eyesight, to actually land the shots as they're getting back up or whilst they're still down on the ground. Tip number 2 is going to focus on repelling. Now, repelling for Nomad is her bread and butter. This is very closely linked to tip number 1, it's a similar sort of thing, but it's a little bit more specific. If you saw Macy J's video that he posted on Twitter the other day, he was repelling on the Armory Lockers window on Border. He'd gone up to that window, and we all know it's a bit of a death trap. Not many people even go there anymore, purely because of the fact it has the potential to be run out on from the archives, from the ventilation room down below, or from even sort of the front door. It can be really deadly if you don't have claymores in place, and you need to use a lot of claymores just to protect that one person, which isn't really viable 9 times out of 10. You can utilise this on a lot of places though to cover those runouts. Consulate would be another perfect example if you're trying to push the admin room. You can utilise 2 of them, one up on the balcony and one on the front door downstairs, while you're repelling up on that single window. This can give you that early warning notification that you need to get down from the window or alternatively return fire. So Nomad is really, really viable on the repel. Tip number 3 for today is going to be utilising Nomad to stop bandit tricking. How many times have you attempted to push the garage wall of Chalet, only to have a bandit on the other side putting his batteries down on the wall just as your Thermite's exothermic charge is about to go off? By lying down and shooting these through the drone hole, you don't have to worry about that, because after a second and a half it's going to go off and it's going to move him away from the wall, and then he's going to be stuck in an animation and won't be able to deploy his batteries. Now, I know there's going to be people out there that are saying, yeah, but there's a 1.5 seconds delay, so, you know, you could fire it under and he'll shoot it out quickly. Yeah, he probably could, but if he's doing that, he's not tricking the wall, and tricking can be pretty precise. Any sort of a distraction that is going to move Bandit away and stop him from doing what he needs to do is going to be beneficial to your team, especially now that Kaid has been added. You've got Mute as well. There's a lot of operators that can work in conjunction with each other to stop you getting through those reinforced walls, especially main ones to sight like that. So utilizing Nomad through drone holes and stuff like that can be really, really handy. Tip number 4 is predominantly going to be for those of you out there like me that just play bomb. But, you know, as long as you've got bomb turned on, it can be pretty beneficial. But if you save the air jabs until you are actually pushing the objective, you can utilize Nomad's Gadget to either prevent the enemy from defusing the plant once you've got it down, or you can even cover the plant by throwing them in or around the diffuser. So while your teammate is attempting to get the plant down, putting the air jabs a little bit further into the room where the defenders are potentially going to peek from, it's going to stop them from pre-firing common spots. You can prevent them from throwing smokes or nitros out of certain areas. So she can be really, really effective at assisting the plant going down. Or like I say, defending it and, you know, stopping the defenders from actually defusing. If you put one of these on the actual diffuser, in the heat of the moment when the defender is running around and they're trying to get near to it, you can either hear them shoot it out to give you that early warning notification, or alternatively, they're going to get close enough for it to go off and it's just going to delay them. And we all know that every second counts. Now, you can utilize this for secure area once you are in sight if you put them in all of the common spots that the defenders could potentially gain access to the site from. As soon as they get close, it throws them out, puts them in an animation, and they can't get into the site quickly enough. Or if you're one of those absolute nutters that plays hostage, you could potentially put them on your escape route. And as you're running away with the hostage, any defender that comes chasing after you is just wrecked and left for dust. The final tip I'm going to give for today is going to be that Nomad is the first proper attacking trap operator. You really can set disgusting traps with her. Those of you with a keen eye will have seen that on Rainbow Six's Twitter the other day, they retweeted a video by Sir Chaos in which he'd pretty much laid out a load of disgusting traps that you can use Nomad for. What he was doing was placing claymores in pretty much the middle of rooms and then going around to the other side of the wall and putting an air jab in a really hidden location. Any defender that comes walking through, any roamer, you know, strolling down a hallway, suddenly gets flung through a soft wall and directly into the path of a claymore. Now, this is a really, really cheeky but an amazing tip, purely because of the fact the lasers give the claymores away 9 times out of 10. By putting them inside of somewhere like security room, for example, any defender that comes strolling through the hallway, they can't see any lasers, they think they're safe, and suddenly they're flung, they're going to have a real shock, and it can be really, really beneficial. As soon as you've seen this done a couple of times, you can go onto maps and there are so many locations for it. There's ones on Villa that you can do, pretty much any corridor with soft walls, and you can do this. It's really, really good, and it's so satisfying when it happens, especially if it's the final kill cam. I'm afraid that's all I've got for you for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and fingers crossed it'll help you when you're playing Nomad. What are your thoughts on her though? Do you like Nomad? Are you keen, or do you not really see where she fits in? If you don't already, you can keep up to date with everything that I'm getting up to on Twitter. I'll also post all of the info for my live streams and stuff over there. As I say, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider hitting that thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the dislike button and let me know why. If you don't already, make sure to subscribe for all things Rainbow Six. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay reckless and relentless.